Hello, 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 and welcome to Love Unboxed, the podcast where we unbox queer love stories from the melanated perspective. I'm your host, Manny, and if you were to ask me about finding balance between societal expectations and personal desires, I'd say listen to your heart and remember that your story is yours to write. It's not to be dictated by how others make you think, how they make you feel, or even what they pressure you to do. I'm extremely excited to have you all join us today. This episode really promises to be a truly insightful one. So, one of the things that we're exploring is the theme around love after, and really to help us kind of like navigate through this conversation, or I'll say this topic. We have two guests. They're incredible, they're dope, they're fire. And they've lived these experiences firsthand. Okay. So today, let's talk to Gio and Chris. Gio and Chris were once married. They are now really navigating life post divorce, right? And they'll be sharing just a little bit of their unique insights into, the complexities of their relationship within the boundaries of like being a queer BIPOC like couple, right? And how that experience has impacted or can impact the BIPOC community that is queer. We'll delve into their personal experiences with monogamy, non-monogamy, and really how these have just, I would say, like shaped their views on love and intimacy and their own identities. So I now want to pass it over to Gio and Chris. Welcome. I'm excited to have y'all.
Hi. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So I want to just go ahead and allow you all to introduce yourselves. Doesn't have to
Okay.
be anything like really in depth, but give the girls a little bit about yourselves um and how they maybe can connect
Gio,
with
you
you
can
too.
go first.
Hi,
Gio
everyone.
goes first.
My name is Gio. I am 32 years old from the Bronx, born and raised. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram at Jordani, GIORDANNY 17. You can probably find me twerking or like traveling, one of the two. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Chris.
All right. So my name is Chris. I'm 35. I am also from the Bronx. Not born, not raised, but came back here when I was around 17, 18 because I love it here. I'm an influencer, content
You're an
creator, and
influencer.
podcast host. You guys, I do my thing a little bit. You can follow me on TikTok at BS with Chris. My podcast is actually called BSing with Chris. And you can follow me on Instagram at chris.vrgs1.
Yes. Y'all better get into it. Also, Gio, you love to travel?
I love to travel.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm either at home or like on a plane somewhere.
Really?
It's one or the other. It's two extremes.
So where are
Yes.
like the places that we're going in 2024?
Well, as of right now, I'm going to London in March and Paris.
Come on,
Yes.
Patty. Are you going to Paris and like London like in the same trip?
Yes. So I'm going to London first. My actual stay is going to be in London, and then I'm going to take the train over to Paris,
Nice.
maybe Scotland, but we'll see.
That's dope. I love that. Chris, are you a traveler too? Or are you a
I am
stay-at-home?
a traveler. I don't travel as much as he does because last year I think the last time I was on a plane was probably like in May because I'm trying to like make sure get all my debt down.
Hold
I'm
up,
trying to be debt free.
hold up.
But
Okay. I'll let you get.
last
I'll
time
let you
I
get away
was
with
on a
the debt.
plane
The
was
debt
in May.
down. I'll let you get away with that
Right.
one.
Last time I was on the plane was in May, but I did travel within the United
Okay.
States. I've gone to DC, Virginia, like I've done my thing within the United States. But yeah, I'm trying to get my debt down. But this year I'm planning to go to Belize and Brazil. So
Nice.
the bees over
The
here.
bees over
So
there. I love that. Wait.
You better watch those B words.
Well, you gotta throw it in the ocean.
Okay.
So that's really dope. I'm really excited to have y'all on the podcast, and you just have like a really cool, like, dope conversation with y'all about your relationship. And so I really want to know a little bit more about, like, where or how did you all meet? Like, how did y'all start off y'all's relationship? Oh, and I see this is gonna be juicy already.
Do you want to take it? Okay, so here's the thing. So how it was such a long time ago. We like you guys have to understand. We were together for 11 years. We haven't been together in about 4 years up to now, but we've known each other for such a long time that, like, sometimes I forget because I'm like, those are just regular basic details. But the thing is, he was dating a friend. Like, the guy and I weren't really friends. We knew each other, but we weren't really friends. Actually, we hooked up. So I wouldn't even say me and the guy hooked up at one point in time. And then Gio started dating him. And then, oddly enough, I don't know, like, Gio, fill in the blanks, because I feel like then we kind of like met on Twitter a little bit.
Chris said I got amnesia.
Yeah, so
a little bit. I'm like,
I was dating my ex. Then once we separated, me and Chris started talking on Twitter.
Yeah.
Very friendly, very mutual. I did not like Chris in the beginning.
No.
Heard just like his attitude and his reputation.
Wait, reputation? We got to come back to that. But
yeah, I was not a nice girl. I was not a nice girly.
And then we were talking just friendly. He was in Florida at the time. I want to say, if I'm correct.
I was, because I was considering moving back at the time, moving back to Florida. Things weren't working out here in New York for me, so I was like, I'll probably go back.
So we started talking through Twitter. Then we finally just met up one day. And then from there, it just blossomed into something.
Yeah.
It's 11 years later.
Yeah.
Wow. So I don't want to forget about this reputation. I want to go back to it.
Right now?
I want to pause. No, we're not going to go back to it just yet. But we will at some point during this conversation. But that's dope. That you all, like, kind of like met in a very unique way, I guess to say.
It was through Twitter. This was around the time when Twitter really first started, I guess, popping off. This was because what year was it? 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was 2009 when he and I. It was Twitter is not what y'all know it to be.
Oh, we
now.
know what it was like back in the Stone Ages, what Twitter was. But I mean, not saying that you were not calling you old or anything like that. I'm not saying,
bro.
That is not what I'm saying.
Ageism this early on in the conversation.
I got on Twitter. I started on Twitter in 2010, so, like, I understand. Like, I know what it was like back then.
Right. And when you retweeted somebody, you actually had to put RT.
Yes.
Like, it was wild.
When you had only about 10 characters to get your tweet out, that Twitter,
okay.
I know exactly about it.
Be precise.
Okay. That was before the age of Black Twitter, and the birth of so many others. So, like, I get it.
Yes. It was very much Kiki. Girl, say what you saying. Like, so that's really what it was.
Yes. So, like,
but,
okay.
No.
What was kind of like that moment where you felt like you wanted to move forward with, like, one another, like, and, like, diving into, like, having more of a structured relationship
outside of? I think around the time when I was in Florida and we were, like, talking on the phone, we would talk constantly. You know, back then it was, talking on the phone, and wow, we really are old. Like, I'm starting to think about it. I'm like, people don't do that no more. Like, but and it was just like a connection, kind of just going back and forth. And I remember, Gio, you still have the same number currently that you had all those years ago. And I'm just like, God damn. But the moment, so I came back to New York because my best friend was like, listen, my job is hiring, come through. So I flew back, did the interview, got the job. And the same day that I went on the interview, I went over to meet Gio. So that was the same day. And I think the day that I met him, I was like, that's going to be my man. Yes. Like, instantly, I just saw him and I was like, boom. I was going to. He was cooking. He was in the kitchen cooking. I was like, I know that's
Wait,
right.
what was you cooking? Because wait till a man's heart.
Okay, well, it worked.
It did. Well, what were you making? It
I think
was.
fried plantain, so tostones and like
Mm.
very simple, like
It was a
salami.
tres golpe, I think. Yeah.
Nice. And so Chris, that was like, you know what? This is gonna be my man.
When I met him, I just knew. I was just like, yeah, this is gonna be something.
Yeah. Well, that's dope. How about you, Gio?
For me, so I'm a hopeless romantic. And when I met him, he was just very like caring. Like it was my first really actual relationship. Being out. Before that, obviously, like how I met Chris. I was in that relationship, but I wasn't really out, sort of say. So this was definitely like my first relationship, and I just saw it going somewhere. So I was talking to someone else at the time, and then like I
You were.
like make a decision. And I was like, Chris or this other person, Chris or this other person, and I was like, yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris said I shouldn't even have been an option. Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to tell these guys. Today.
Okay.
But like, what's going on? But no, like, yeah, I think that day I was just like, yeah, no, I get it. This is it.
Yeah.
You just know, right? Like you have a feeling, you look at the person and you're just like, yeah, this is the person that I want to be with.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. Like we have goals.
And we were raised in a similar fashion. We're both Dominican. You know what I'm saying? Like both of our grandparents, they both owned travel agencies back in the day. Our moms went to the same high school at different times because his mom is younger than mine, but they went to the same high school. So we were raised similarly. Huh?
You want to tell them about your father and your last name?
What about my dad? So my dad's original last name is supposed to be Alvarez, but that's not the man who raised him. So my last name is Vargas, his last name is Vargas, but Gio's last name is Alvarez. So I'm like, I'm like this, but we are in no way related. We are not related.
You're like, what is going on here? What is?
Because our families met each other so at some point they would have been like, I know this person. Like they like, you know what I'm saying? So we are not related, thankfully. Mm-hmm. But there was a moment where we were kind of like, oh Lord.
How did your families take to your relationship?
You want to take this one?
So my mom was in the beginning, she was all for it. She was like, who is this guy? Like he looks good. And then
come on, Tay.
It was
yes.
For me.
Well, yes.
Come on, Tay. Come on, face card never declines.
Okay.
How about you, Chris?
My mom was definitely for it. Like she was just like, okay. It was my first relationship as well. So she was, and my dad, you know what the funny thing is, I never actually came out to my dad. So like even till this day, I've never come out to him. But when they met Gio, they loved him. You know what I'm saying? So they were all for it. I was like, okay.
Look at them.
I mean, you could be the judge of it.
That's dope though, especially because like as we know in our community, like that's not always
right
the same. I mean, thinking about my own experience in being in a long-term relationship, like I really never got to have a relationship with my ex's family. And I won't say family, I would say like parents specifically. You know, they just weren't as accepting of like him and our relationship as you know, I would say like my family is. And so that like it can be very burdensome on a relationship when you don't have that connection with your family, or it's unbalanced, right? So like for him, my family is accepting of me, right? I also have a lesbian sister, right? And so who's younger than me, who also came out before I did, right? And so yeah, who's 8 years younger than me. Let me see. That maybe
and came out before
wait,
you?
right. Let me. Yeah, at 16. And so like I didn't really come
Okay.
out to my mom until I was about mm,
Oh wow.
this is
The
around like
other day,
2017,
apparently.
2018.
Like,
Basically the other day.
okay,
It was
right.
it
I'm
was the
like,
other
it's
day.
been 5 years.
Basically the other day. But
Right.
like came out like 2017, 2018. And
Hmm.
you know, I'm so appreciative of her because she was so accepting of like who I am.
Yeah.
Um but I will say like they were very open and accepting of him, right? Like welcomed him in
Right.
and will always do that with any
Yeah.
partner that I have, right? And so just to have that dynamic that like both of your families were like,
Yes. And it's very, and I think I want to give it to our families a little bit because, like I said, we are Dominican, we're Latino, so there's very big, like machismo. They're very,
mm-hmm,
but everybody knows the Dominicans be on the DL.
mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor
Okay,
there.
we're gonna skip that subject. We're gonna come back with another episode about that.
Right. But so it was kind of nice that we were kind of, I mean, it didn't come without its bumps, right? Obviously there were moments where it's like the older generation, they're kind of like, I remember coming out to my grandmother and she being like, we should go to church, things like that. And I'm just like, man, I'm not
I
going
ain't
to
gonna
church.
check.
I'm like, if anything, and she's Catholic, so I was like, if anything, you need to keep those priests away from me. You need, like, the way they be doing. So I was just like, at the end of the day, I give it to our families that they were very kind of like open to being accepting and things like that. And me and his mom got very close, and him and my mom got very close too. So it's like, yeah,
That's dope. I love that.
yeah,
I love like love all around, right? And
yeah,
so like the fact that like they were able to fall in love with you, huh, that's
yeah.
beautiful. And I think like that's what
I mean, my grandmother still asks about Gio, so, but she actually does have amnesia, so she doesn't know that we're not together. And like, yeah, I actually have to. We're not together, but he's doing okay.
so
Yeah,
what you're saying is it skipped a generation and got to you, the amnesia.
apparently, and it's starting early, sweetie. It is starting early. It's just like, what? Life is so crazy. Like sometimes I'm just like, I just don't remember the minuscule things. Like the important things I keep. But the small things, I'm like, what you have for lunch yesterday? I'm like, baby, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I can barely remember like what I did this morning when I woke up. What
hello,
like
thank you.
I can't.
You were prepping for this. You were getting ready for this. That's what you were
Like
doing.
I could not remember. I can't remember. That's an everyday
Yeah.
thing though. Like I can't remember all that
Yes.
shit. Like to expect me to remember every detail is just
Right.
you gonna be SOL every single time. You're gonna be
Right.
disappointed. Let me
Right.
tell you, because I can't do that. Right. And so
Right.
I'd be
Yes.
asking for reminders. I'm at that age
Not
where
a
like
reminder.
if my friend
Come on,
I used
Beyonce.
to
This a reminder.
okay. This is just a reminder. I'm at that place and at this place where like I used to make fun of some of my friends be like, "Oh, you want to go out? Da, 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 da. Yeah, like okay, and send me a calendar invite." And I'm just like, "Why are you sending me a calendar
Listen,
invite now?"
how
I'm like, "I need
many?
a calendar
Because
invite."
if it's not on there, I will not remember.
I
Remember, maybe, and me, I'm also like I'm more introverted than I am extroverted, and so for me, if I want to stay, I'm gonna
Same.
try to stay at the house by any
All
means
day.
necessary. And so I'm not
All
thinking
day.
about going out unless it's on my calendar. If it ain't on there,
Yeah.
baby, it don't exist.
And even if it is on there, I'm kind of like, maybe I could probably not go.
Mhm, mhm.
This doesn't seem that
If
important.
I send you a text and I say, "Hey, are we still on for tonight?" That means I don't want to
That
go
means,
anymore.
right. It means, right.
It means we can
Right.
cancel this.
Same.
will be
You,
there. I might be late, but I will be
okay,
there.
what is this
Right.
thumbs up?
Period.
What? That got me. Did y'all see that thumbs up?
Yes.
I didn't.
Oh, okay. That was interesting. But yeah, so like I'm that's not me, that's not who I am.
Right.
And nothing that I want to be a part of. So I kind of want to like we talked about a couple of things. We talked about you all. We talked about how you met. We talked about like a little bit of your family. Um, we've veered off that topic a little bit, which is great. But I want to like transition us to another topic that surrounds like your relationship in a deeper way. And
Okay.
so I wanted to talk about like you all have been together. You decide like, oh, I want to be with this person. This is my person. Da da da. You've done all the cutesy shit. Um, you're in your relationship, and so there's a conversation that has to happen around like being in a monogamous or non-monogamous relationship. And so I would love to dive into like at what point in your relationship did that conversation happen? Was that an initial conversation or was that like we what's already understood don't need to be explained? Or was it like
That's what it
we
was.
together for 2-3 years and like let's explore some other options.
So I think we never, that's not a conversation that we ever really had. It was just kind of like, what's understood, we don't need to really be explained. And kind of like that's how I was brought up. It was like monogamy, and that's just the way it was. You didn't think about anything else. If you thought of non-monogamy or all the other stuff, it was just kind of like, you kind of looked at it like, oh, that's a little weird. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So for me, we never really had that conversation. So
I agree. I want to say for me, it was based off of just like he said, how we were raised and based off of our experiences. For me,
hmm
like again, I got together when I was with him when I was 17, going on 18. So I wasn't really that experienced. This was my first experience being in a real relationship.
hmm
So for me, and based off how I was raised, it was just like
this is what it
Mm.
is, right?
this.
Like,
That
yeah, like I think we did get together like very young, so we didn't really get a chance to explore different kind of
mm.
relationships up to that point. Other than the occasional probably hookups here and there, but not a full on relationship. So yeah, monogamy was always the one. Like there was nothing else for us to do. Granted, I do want to say a couple years, not even a couple years in, I want to say maybe towards the end of the
Mm-hmm.
relationship, we kind of brought up the non-monogamy aspect of it or open relationship, maybe having an open marriage. Um, that didn't work out, obviously.
I
Because
don't
we're
think
no longer, because what
we,
happened?
yeah, I don't think we ever tried it, but it was just not.
But there were we had very minimal conversations towards it because I still wasn't even open to like, he would bring it up and I'm just like, no. I like shut it down.
Mm.
Like I was just like, no. And then towards the end, I kind of was just kind of like, hmm. But I think at that point we were just a little too far gone in the relationship was pretty much
Yeah.
over. And at that point we were just trying to like find ways to like keep it going. And it's just like, bitch, this is dead. Like, like leave it alone.
Yeah. I can completely understand that. Especially at that aspect of like y'all relationship pretty much like is dead. Like dead.
Yes.
And it's like, well, let's try something different. Let's try something new. Like let's
Right. Let's add some spice to it. And it's just like the spice ain't gonna do nothing but cause
okay.
drama and friction between the two of y'all because y'all don't
Mhm.
even really like each other that
Okay.
much at this point. like,
You trying to put paprika on something that
oh,
you need adobo. You need
okay.
you, you,
Right.
you're trying to use the wrong
Damn.
seasonings, okay? And it's
Right.
not gonna work. It's
Yeah.
not gonna spice anything up. And so,
At all.
I understand and I completely relate to that. Um, what was that thing that was like, so now that you all are no longer in a relationship, have your views on monogamy and non-monogamy changed,
Huh.
shifted?
Ciao.
You can say you can go first.
I don't know. For me, I'm very open. However, I don't think that I could ever be like in an open
Mm,
relationship. Now, that may change. I don't
why is
know.
that?
But I think a person. And it can't be based off of a horrible situation. So, for example, like how me and Chris were in the end. That was brought up based off of just like that situation, and we were just trying to like save it. But I think that if that's going to come about, it shouldn't be based off of that type of situation. It should just be like organically, like, hey, this is who I am, this is who you are, and like we can come together and come to a mutual like understanding. But as of right now, no, not for me.
I understand.
So for me, my views have changed. I'm still a monogamous person. That is my preference. However, I've learned to be open to certain things and certain people. I understand, like having been with someone for such a long time, I kind of understand when people want to open those doors, when they want to have an open relationship, or maybe when they go on vacation, you know, they dip their toe in you know, in the little threesome pond or sex parties, whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And there's no judgment. Back then, I used to judge. But, you know, and do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Circuit parties, whatever it is that you want to do. So for me, my mind, like,
I just said, like, no, I'm an advocate for sexual exploration.
I agree. Yes. So for me, I'm like, my mind frame is like, I'm still a monogamous person, but I understand why people wouldn't be, especially kind of like in this day and age. And then not for nothing, men be so fine. So I get it. They ain't worth a damn. They are exhausting, but they are so fun.
Can be used for one purpose and one purpose only.
Okay. And that's it. And that's it. So like, it's just, yeah, I love y'all though. Like I love men. Like I just do, but y'all exhausted. And when I say things like that, I do not exclude myself out of that. Like I let people know. I'm like, I'm like, men are trash, and they're like, you're a man. I'm like, oh no, I'm included in that because I know I can be trash sometimes. Like I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But no, when it comes to like monogamy, I'm still a monogamous person, but I understand why people, you know. And for me, if I do date someone who is non-monogamous, I would tell them from the beginning, you know, let's make sure the foundation of our relationship is good before we try to explore other things. And if that's not okay with you, then you're not my person. Yeah, that's all.
I completely agree. Like what you just said is like resonates with me. We have to have a strong foundation sexually. I can remember going to therapy and having conversations around like having more of an open relationship, and we did not have a strong foundation in our own relationship yet to be able to explore that, right? And so I think like there were things that transpired that just like I will say were the catalyst for that to continue, right? And so it's so interesting when you say like you have to have a strong foundation when you want to explore this, because you really do. There's like jealousy that comes up. I've heard stories about like, you know, if you do open your relationship up to other people, like there's I remember one story where it was shared with me that like this couple decided to open their relationship up with another person, and then one person found out that the other person was sleeping with them like on the side without like beyond the boundaries that they had already created and established in their relationship. And I was like, that's the reason why people don't want to do open relationships, because y'all can't stay within the boundaries, right?
You literally had a conversation, communicated, this is what don't cross this line, and now you over here. So why are we doing this? Why are we doing it?
And so like I'm in a new relationship now. And I had mentioned to my partner like too, is like I knew that coming out of my old relationship that I was open to the idea even more of being in a non-monogamous relationship. Whatever we decide that to be though, right? It does not have to
whatever works
for us. It does not have to be what everybody else's open relationship is. You know, it could just be like our open relationship is no sexual penetration. Perfect. That's cool. Like do what we do. You know what I mean? But like I just mentioned like, hey, like I just want you to know, like, I'm open to, this. And they're open to it. It's just that we just have to have
Yeah.
deeper conversations around what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But we are nowhere near at a place where I would feel comfortable with us actually exploring that right now, because we have to have a strong foundation first. And that could take years.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And this is why, like, I even tell other people, I'm like, when it comes to other people's relationships, mind your business. Because you don't know what they're talking about. You don't know if they have an open relationship. So if you see me making out with somebody, but you know I have a man, bitch, you don't know if my man was okay with that. Mind your business. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because you don't know what happens behind closed doors, what conversations are being had, what other people are being shared. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might be like, like, it's just, people just need to mind their business.
And in the world of social media, you have to be able to mind your business.
Yes.
Because this has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Big time.
So, yeah, like, I just, yeah. So, yeah, so, like, we've been having this conversation around, like, monogamy and non-monogamy. And I really want to dive into a little bit deeper and talk about, like, its implications on Black and people of color who are queer in our community, right? Because I feel as though there's a difference in how we view and are treated when it comes to monogamy and non-monogamous relationships, excuse me. And so I want to ask these questions around, like, how do you feel, or how do, like, societal perceptions impact, like, our experience, specifically, like, people of color experience with, like, diving into monogamous and non-monogamous relationships. I feel like there's stereotypes surrounding, white people's relationships versus, like, Black and other people of color's relationships when it comes to this subject. And so I want to ask y'all, like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, with a lot of the times, anything that we do as people of color, especially queer people of color, we're always going to get looked at in a, with a side eye. But I also feel like we do that to ourselves as well, right? Because it's like, sometimes we'll look at, for example, how I was raised, monogamous, so even I looked at it in a way where it was just like, no, the people who do that they're crazy, they're weird. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost kind of like, to a certain extent, ingrained in us. And then as you get older, you have to start fighting against that. And it's just aggravating. But yeah, I'm getting a little annoyed. That's why I'm just like, it's bringing up certain feelings where I'm just like, damn, like, we are treated differently. And a lot of the times we have to fight ourselves on certain things. So yeah, but Gio, go ahead. Let me gather my thoughts, because now I'm just rambling. I'm getting annoyed.
No, you're good. You're good. But you make, like, very valid points. So yeah, Gio.
Honestly, I would agree with Chris. I want to say it's based off of a lot of, like, our culture and how we were raised.
Yeah.
As Chris mentioned, like, being a person of color, just like, especially in the Latino community, like, there's a lot of machismo, as Chris said earlier. And we're perceived as, like, we have to be this, like, man, and, like, we can't be feminine, or we can't express or show that femininity side of us. And that kind of plays a part when it comes to us. I feel like with white people, it's completely different. Like, they basically are free to do whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah, they're allowed to be feminine. They're allowed to be masculine. Right. Nobody bats an eye. It's okay for them. But the moment you see a person of color put on a skirt, it's a man of color, a queer man of color, I should specify, put on a skirt or put on, some lingerie. It's like, okay, that's a little weird. Yeah. But baby, I'm gonna put on this lingerie.
Against our Black men out here. They got an agenda against.
Not the agenda.
Let me tell you, I am so sick of the Shade Room and Hollywood Unlocked comments around, like, anything that's queer and of color. I'm sick of people.
I'm telling you. This is why I like to stay home
Yeah.
and mind my business.
This is why I don't get on social media much. It's because
Right.
it is so like overbearing and like
Yes.
to be constantly attacked for like your sexuality and who you are. I don't choose
Just
to
being
be this
who you
person.
are.
This is
Yeah.
who I am, like from
Right.
the start, from the jump. And I have no agenda to be like coming for y'all. I don't even like straight men.
You live your life,
so like,
I'm gonna live my life. Leave me alone.
Like, live your life, do your thing,
Right.
girl. Like, nobody's even been paying attention to you.
No, not at all.
I think it's just crazy. Like, sometimes when I be seeing like the attack on like our community.
Yeah.
You know,
it's aggravating, you know, it's continuous. You know, it's just like, can y'all let up for a second? Leave us alone.
Leave me alone. Let me
right.
be. Let me be in peace.
Literally.
Okay.
Quite literally. Right.
That's all I want.
I don't bother nobody.
Yeah. Nobody. So yeah, I mean, I think like just to kind of like wrap this conversation up, I think like you all have had an interesting experience around like monogamous relationships and like how you view them, but also how your views have shifted. It's like basically the opposite. Like now that y'all have been in y'all relationship that like y'all have before y'all got into your relationship or even when you were in your relationship, right? And so I think that's just really interesting to me because Chris, I'm very much aligned with you. My views like shifted and I'm much more open to it. But before I was much like Gio. I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work for me. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
Like, I have to share you. I am territorial, baby. Like, I ain't sharing.
What's your sign? Hold on. What's your sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Oh yeah, you're an air sign.
Like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even like to share
so
my
am I.
food. Let me.
But see, my thing is, I'm not a jealous person at all, like whatsoever. Not jealous. Like Gio and I would go out, like we would go to bars when we were together, and if God wanted to buy him a drink, I'm like, you better get that drink. You better go get that drink. Get that drink, and then so he would get the drink, and then introduce me afterwards. By the way, this my man, this my husband. And I'm just like, but we save a little bit of money. These drinks ain't cheap.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a jealous person. So I guess even the experience of having been in a relationship, you know, you learn so much throughout so many years and things that kind of just accumulate over time and change your kind of like your thought process. And that, I guess, even to that extent, where I'm just like, I'm not a jealous person. You know, I was okay with him. If we were at a bar together and he flirted with somebody. So I'm like, maybe that kind of like skews my viewpoint to non-monogamy to it, like where I kind of understand non-monogamy. Not saying that I'm, you know, I still am very much monogamous, but I guess I can kind of see it a little bit. Yeah, let's be clear.
Y'all start hitting them DMs.
I'm jealous. Don't.
Right, Gio's a very jealous person.
My man.
Man. Like, don't touch my man. Like, that is my man. Like, no. Shit.
Also, no, I mean, don't touch my right.
Like, no.
don't touch my man. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not a jealous person because I know where my man's coming back to, so we're good. We good.
And that's the thing.
We see each other.
We good. And that's the thing, though. Too. It's like I also know where my man is coming home to me, right? And he knows that I'm coming home to him, right?
Right.
At the same time, when I see it in person, I'm just like,
it's a whole different. It kind of like all the scenarios start playing in your head. Like, if I swing this way, it'll connect. It'll yeah, we're good.
Exactly. So
therapy. Y'all need therapy is what I'm saying right now.
Oh yeah, I'm in therapy, baby.
He's like, yes,
I'm in therapy, and. Has that helped? No, that ain't changed my mind.
I mean, you know, baby steps. We're gonna take it. There's growth.
No, I'm just like, I am not the jealous type. I will definitely say that because I also believe jealousy is one of the ugliest traits that you can have, right?
Yeah.
And so
agreed.
I am not a jealous person at all. But what I do say is that I'm territorial and I like to protect what I believe. I won't say belongs to me because like I don't believe my man is a a prop or a product or an item,
Right.
right? But I believe like is with me, is connected to me.
Yeah.
And so when I already have that, I don't want anybody else to have that. Like I said, it's the same
Right.
thing with my food. Do not come to me asking for no food, especially if I say it's good.
Right.
Girl, no. My
Right.
mom does this thing where like,
What if they ask, can I have some?
No.
No.
Like my mom will come do this thing and I get on her all the time about it. I'll make something and you know, and she'll come and she'll do this like lean over. Like, ooh, that looks good. Like, what you making over there? And I just be like, girl, get back off of my food. You know what I mean?
But no, Gio, you were a little bit like that. We would go out to places and he would order something that and he end up not liking it, and then I would just be like, here, take my fucking food, I'll eat yours. Like What'd you say?
I'm a picky eater.
Very picky.
I understand that. I can relate to that too. But I feel like this was a good conversation around like, you know, the monogamous relationship like conversation, which I appreciate y'all like going down this road and having with me. I think like there were some really great insights that were able to be pulled out, and I think some important takeaways from this conversation as well. But what I want to like shift us towards is this like really cute segment of the podcast. It's called Love Unboxing.
Yes.
And so I have like a cute little question that I want to ask y'all. And so the question is about open relationship, real talk. Excuse me, not open relationship, real talk. Actually, open relationship, real talk. Let's do that one. Let's do that one. So imagine you're open or a polyamorous relationship is a reality TV show. What would be the most dramatic episode's title?
Oh, brother. I don't know. What would it be? What would it be? Receipts, proof, timeline. No, I don't know.
I am with it. I am with it.
I mean, you know what? That would probably be it.
Yes.
That would receipts, proof, timeline.
Yes. Come on, Heather.
That's a good one.
Reality Von, please, maybe.
Okay.
Who knows?
Let me tell you. Can we pause right there? That episode. Actually, let's come back to it. Go ahead, Gio.
Go down in history. Okay.
Listen.
Oh, damn. For me, bitch got me fucked up.
Ooh.
Because
right.
Bitch got me fucked up. I felt that too, because you said the way you said it was like, "Ooh, that's the one."
With such right, like he's already been through something.
Okay.
Like,
wait a minute, Chris. Do we want to talk about it?
It's not me.
Okay, this is Love Unboxed, and we can unbox it.
I mean,
Gio.
No.
But I love.
He's like, that's another episode.
Okay, I love those titles. But I do want to circle back. That episode was the most. It was the best episode they've had in their entire history.
Correct.
Let me tell you.
Correct.
And where I put it is with the episode with The Lies. Yes.
Like, the reunion.
Yes. Like no, excuse me. Let's go back. Who said that?
You said that?
You said that? That is where I put that episode.
Yes.
It's like they are coming into themselves. Like they are slowly gaining traction. And that was the first episode where I felt like that Mary no longer needed to carry Salt Lake City.
Correct. She was yes. I agree.
Mary has been.
But I love Mary.
I love Mary.
Yes, especially the first half of the season. I feel like she's been doing a fantastic job. I'm like, but she's very much like, I'll show up when I show up, and I won't, and that's it. Like,
let me tell you,
I'm a friend of.
That's the type of energy I need. I need Mary's energy all 2024.
she's very unbothered. Like she even came on Watch What Happens Live. She like Andy was like, "Why'd you come back?" She was like, "Because I heard your ratings were terrible." I was like, "Oh my god!" Of
And
course, like you said that to the executive
Producer.
producer of your show. You don't give a
She
damn. Like
don't. She don't.
she don't.
Because Mary
She
knows
don't.
she don't need this.
She don't. She really don't.
Okay. That's what I love about her because like the crazy thing is that she's been in so many episodes by herself, right? Like
yes.
filming by
yeah,
herself, having a storyline, but does not hold whatever they hold in Salt Lake City. What is it, a snowflake or
No.
something that they got in their hand?
Right.
But like
Yes.
that's how you know that like
Mary eats.
Mary
Yes.
was there
Yes.
for ratings and ratings
Oh,
only.
absolutely. They needed to bring the audience back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch season 3 at all, and I heard it was terrible.
No, me either.
So
Me either. So like, yeah, I love both of those reality
yes.
TV show episodes. I would definitely tune in, especially bitch got me fucked
Okay.
up.
Okay.
I understand and I know what that's like. But dope, that's cool. And I appreciate y'all like, you know, indulging me for a moment. I
Right.
do want to transition us to our final segment, which is really focused on like life beyond divorce. Okay. And redefining like relationships. And what does that mean for like the both of you? And so like I really want to talk about like post divorce, you know, how you've redefined your individual identities, your interactions with one another. I mean, before we even like when I paused the recording, y'all were over here chit chatting about going to brunch together and like
Yes.
okay, wait a minute,
yes.
pause, right? And so I would love to like dive a little bit more into like how have you guys like redefined your relationship with one another? And then like what challenges have you all faced with doing that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
cool.
So for me, I feel like obviously divorce isn't easy. It's not an easy process, but I think when we decided to finally, this ain't working, we have to go our separate ways. I always wanted to still have a friendship with him. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just like, we spent so much time together. We lived together, we were married, and it's just so to go from being married to then no longer seeing this person, it was a little bit difficult because it's like when something good happened, you wanted to tell them. You know what I'm saying? When something bad happened, you wanted to tell them. So navigating that, especially at the very beginning of our separation, that led to the divorce was very difficult. So I'll say so.
Cool. So for me, I would say that it's been definitely a transition. When I was in my marriage and in the relationship, I was very codependent on Christopher, and codependent not a great thing to have. And I actually learned this after we, got separated and I moved out from our apartment, where I didn't even know, like at the time, like obviously I paid bills, but I didn't know what a bill looked like. I didn't pay a bill. I gave my half, he gave his half, and he did all the things. So it definitely gave me a little bit of anxiety.
To be
Just
clear, I did not pay all the bills. He sent me because this sounded like he's like, I don't know what a bill looked like. I did not pay all the bills. I didn't pay everything myself. He also paid.
yeah,
Chip
but
in.
it was just like,
Give me a coin.
so I half, he put in his half, and that's how we paid our bills.
Yeah.
But just again, like because of that whole like process, like I never knew what it was to actually like have my own and actually do it on my own. So now, like my friends still make fun of me to this day because for me, my accomplishment is just like I pay my rent every month, right? By myself, I have a 1 bedroom, beautiful, and I still travel, I still go out, like, and I tell my friends all the time, like, I made it another month. And it's
Right.
not struggling. It's just like I did this by myself.
Yeah.
And for me, damn, like, Gio, you're doing this shit. Like,
Yeah.
ain't nobody like helping you. You're doing this by yourself. Like, again, that codependency is very important to notice and to know. and to get out of it,
And it
because
was
it's not a good thing.
it can be very crippling. And at some point, you know, I realized over time, because you know, I was just like, it was good to a certain extent. That meant I had some sort of power in the relationship, right?
I was just getting ready
And
to say
that's
that.
something that that's something that I had to learn and realize. Am I doing this because I love him, or am I doing this because is this a certain power that I'm having over him? You know, and bitch, two things can be true. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Two things can be true. Let's be very serious on, you know, let's be very serious on that. So to once he finally did move out, first of all, I was jealous of his apartment because his apartment is fucking gigantic, and I was like, "You want to move back and
In
I
New
move in here?"
York?
Huh?
In New York?
What happened?
New York.
Yes, his apartment is nice. Yes, and it's huge. I was like, motherfucker.
They got enough
But
units
you
in this
know,
building.
okay, like, but like even he told me, he was like, Chris, I didn't even know how to contact Con Edison to turn on my electricity. Like it was that bad. Like, and I was just like, I never realized that that was the case because I did everything. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like even, you know, to add on to him, like for me moving forward, I was really able to live. Like right now, I currently live in my authenticity. Like I am who I am, and even he and I had this conversation. I think he told me maybe like a year and a half ago. He's like, I love seeing you this way. You know, I was, I've always been who I am, you know what I'm saying? But there were always things that held me back. And you know, part of it was myself, but also part of it was also being in that relationship, you know, and I don't mean to offend Gio if that's the case, but the relationship
How dare
kind
you?
of, right. It kind of like stifled my growth as a person. So now having left that relationship, my growth is happening at such an exponential speed that I'm just like, bitch, you have to slow down sometimes because now I'm at a point where I'm just like, everything that you've always wanted to do, the person who you always wanted to become, you are now becoming that person. You've already become that person and you're continuing to grow from that.
Yeah.
And that is scary, but also fulfilling at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, two things can be true, you know? So, and you know, even to this day, you know, we never stop growing. We still learning about ourselves. So for me, leaving that relationship opened so many doors for me.
Yeah.
You know, again, no offense, Gio. And I'm sure Gio will probably feel the same way. Like, bitch, yes, it opened so many doors for me too. Like, you know, because, you know, it opened doors, it opened my mindset, it opened, you know, like I said, when we first started together in 2009, there were no dating apps.
Yeah.
There were no, so having to dive back into that life, so, but I'm sure we're going to touch on that.
We can get into it.
Just of what you said, I think that we just needed each other for that time period.
Yes.
We definitely grew a lot together,
Yes.
and I feel like it was just needed. It was necessary
Yes.
to like I've never experienced a love as of yet.
Yes.
With him.
Yeah.
So, and not to say that I'm in love with him still, not like that.
No.
I love him, not like
Right.
that. But it was needed. Like,
Yeah.
we experienced so many different things, so many years, family, friends, life experiences, achievements, that it was absolutely needed. And you know, now moving forward, we know how to interact with different people, and you know how to go about life.
Right. We did it for the plot.
You did it for
basically.
the plot. That's it.
We did it for the plot, for the story arc.
But that's dope though. Like I loved how like you all have like seen it as an opportunity to just to like grow, right? Because you are two different people. Like when you're in a relationship for that long, you no longer the person that you came into that relationship as, or you shouldn't be, right? And
or even from months prior, like months ago, I was a different person.
Yeah, like you are continuously, evolving, right? And so I think that it's only natural that like you should be coming out of that relationship feeling a different way, and there are new doors that are
Yes.
open for you, and you can, walk through them and explore them in the way that you want to, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that's so important. I think like oftentimes people may think that like, oh, like what am I gonna do now? I will say this,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of people that's like getting out of that relationship and have to get back into another relationship because they are so
Yes.
dependent on like having
Yes.
someone there, right?
Yeah.
And when you take the moment to like just find yourself, figure out who you are, and explore your things on your own, that's
Mm-hmm.
dope. And I think that you should be doing those types of things. There's other people that's
Yes.
like kind of like me. I got out of my relationship, and I dated someone for about a year before we even like were like, okay, we're in a relationship together. You know what I mean? Like, let's have
Mm-hmm.
this conversation. Like, let's
Oh
move
wow.
forward in this.
Yeah.
Because there were things, and I keep hitting my camera. I, I I'm like, damn, move your foot, put your foot down. Because I'm like, um, I was like, I want to do some things on my own first. We can
Yes.
date. We can, go out on dates together. You can come over, all those types of things. Like, I wanted that. At the same time, like, was I really like out there exploring and being with anyone else? No, because I really didn't have an
Right.
interest to. Like, if
Right.
you know
That's
me,
kind of like me. Yeah, that was kind of like me when we first, like when he finally moved out. I wasn't really like dating. I was literally like on my couch watching TV because I didn't want to do anything, And
yeah,
people were probably like, "Oh, he's probably out being a hoe." Baby, I was on my
on
couch
that couch with my
watching,
dog, like.
watching Housewives. Like, please leave me alone.
I restarted Housewives at that time. I know I restarted Insecure. I know that for a fact. Okay, I watched
Right.
all 5 seasons again.
Right.
And I'm
And
doing
that's
it
Same.
right now. So I,
what
I just like, there were just things that I just want to do before
do
like
alone.
we in a committed relationship. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And I had friends.
Go on solo trips, go on, yeah,
I
like,
did all of those things, right? And
yes,
I had friends that was like, because I was like, I don't know if I should be dating somebody and like trying to like be myself. And one of my friends, and he was just like, you can do both of those things at the same time. You know
correct.
what I mean?
Yep.
And and up until that point, I didn't know or feel I could do those things simultaneously, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like having friends and making new friends and having conversations with them about like what's going on, because like I no longer had a partner that I could go to have like just deep conversations or
Yeah.
things that were going on and happening to me. I found a new way of like doing things outside of the norm of what I felt like I had to do because this is what I had
Right.
only seen, right? Or this is what I had only heard. And I think that's really
Yeah.
important, when you're talking about life after a long-term relationship or marriage,
Hmm.
is that like you get to define your terms on your own, right? At that
Correct. Whatever works for you is what works for you.
Mhm.
It's not going to work for anybody else, and you don't have to explain yourself to nobody.
I
Again,
stopped explaining
mind your
myself to people.
business. Right, like, mind your business. I'm gonna do what I need to
Mind
do.
the
Like,
business
it
that
is
pays
what it
you.
is. Right. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's dope though. I think that, navigating that on your own and figuring out your relationships,
Hmm.
or figuring out your relationship after divorce, it's
Yeah.
impeccable.
I mean, when our divorce was finalized, we went to brunch to celebrate. Like,
Oh, I
literally, I
saw on
was like,
Instagram.
yeah, we literally, and people were so surprised, and I was just like, well, what happened? They're like, why would y'all celebrate? I'm like, because we're happy.
We
There's okay, so when what people don't get is
get
that when
into
you
it.
are going through a divorce, the divorce isn't necessarily finalized the moment you decide we're divorced. So it's a long process
Hmm.
to be divorced. Luckily, he and I don't own anything together, so it wasn't, but it from the moment that you sign the divorce papers to the moment you get it back, it could be anywhere between 3 weeks and 6 months. For
Right.
us, it was 6 months. So even though we weren't together, we were separated, we were going through a divorce, it was almost like once the divorce came in and it was finalized and the papers came in, it was almost like shackles kind of have been lifted off. It was just kind of like, okay, finally, this is something that it's no longer on my back no more. So it was like, so I think I was like, you want to go to brunch to celebrate? And he was like, yeah. So we went to brunch. We had a fantastic time. We got drunk as hell.
What the waitress?
I remember that. Say again?
Did the waitress say something?
About what?
Like, did y'all tell her like, oh, we celebrating our divorce?
No, but there was a table of guys right by, and they were checking us out, and we were just like, bitch, bitch, yes. I was like, you like him? I like him, and that's kind of like our friendship now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like we'll go out together, like so we looking like and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there is definitely life after divorce. You don't have to hate your ex, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what a lot of people look at us and they're just like, damn, like I couldn't do what y'all, that's way too mature, I'm too immature for that, people will say. And I'm just like, baby, growth, healing, therapy, like
and the thing is, like, when we separated, it wasn't like on bad terms, like
no,
he did, nobody, like, it was just
this ain't working, right?
This ain't working,
and like,
right,
not always like, but you know, like for us, luckily it was pretty smooth, and we still have a good relationship. We still hang out. Yeah,
that's dope.
So yeah, and we enjoy each other's company.
Yeah,
we are literally each other's hype man. Even I'm just like, bitch, you better go twerk over there, like. So do it, whatever. Like we literally hype each other up, and that's the best part about it.
Yeah, that's dope.
And we share dating stories. I'd be like, "Do you know this guy?" He'd be like, "Yeah, yeah,
yeah."
Right.
I get that, and I love that too, because oftentimes you just hear about like, I ain't talked to my ex, I don't want nothing to do with that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And depending on the relationship and their experience, like I can understand it, right? At the same time, I was very similar to you all, where like me and my ex, there was no like bad blood, no any animosity, any of those things. We literally took a trip. We took multiple trips right after our breakup, like together.
Oh wow!
Like, and one was they were already paid for, but two, like I wasn't about to be like, well, I ain't going, and he wasn't gonna be like, I ain't going. So like, we literally went to Wimbledon that summer together. We went to LA to a wedding together. Like,
oh my god,
we did a lot of traveling right after that, and so people were kind of like,
y'all together or right?
What's going on? Right. And I'm just like it is what it is. Like, right. We broke up. We're not together.
I don't have to explain myself to nobody. I don't have to
explain myself to anybody. And I stopped
I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Yes.
Because I'm grown. And I pay my bills.
Right.
Okay.
Now, right.
You start paying my bills.
You don't pay my bills?
Right. There you go again. When you start paying my
I just saw it, yes.
When you start paying my bills, like, then we can have a conversation about that. Until then, don't ask me about nothing.
None. Not a single word. So, not a single word.
I get that, and I understand that. I do have like two other questions I want to ask.
Sure.
One is like, what was the catalyst for you all's like relationship ending?
Ooh. Well, I feel we're two different people, so catalyst for me might be different for him.
Yeah.
So I want to say I started going to therapy, and I started kind of just working on myself more, and he wasn't in that space at that time. So the more I started working on myself, the more I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to just be who I truly am. And he was just kind of, to me, staying complacent. And I was just like, I don't like that. But that, along with a lot of other things that we had going on in our relationship, our sex life was always an issue for us, on my end. On my end. Yeah, like, and that's something that, one thing about me is I'll take accountability. I know. So those are the things I know. Well, Gio, you can take it. What was your catalyst?
No, plus one to what you said. Definitely sex was definitely an issue for me. And I just feel like after a while, we weren't aligned
Yeah.
where we were at. Um,
We were
and
roommates.
really a bad
Mm.
thing. Um, that we were probably in two different stages at
Hmm.
our life, and we just
It didn't
didn't
work.
right. It didn't
Hmm.
work right. But yeah, definitely sex was definitely an issue for years. Um, and like we did try to work through
Mm.
it. You know, as he mentioned, like he did go to
Mm.
therapy. I think I even joined your therapy session one
A
time.
couple of times. He hated it.
I love therapy now. It's my best
Wow,
friend.
wow. Isn't
Hello.
that interesting?
Again, like growth definitely changes your perspective on things, and it makes
Yeah.
you look at things differently.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. One, kudos to you, Chris, for going to therapy. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I think it's really
Yes.
important. It should be a part of like anybody's balance in life. Just to
Period.
have
Yep.
someone to be able to go to and talk to. And there are free
Hmm.
options out there for those of us who
Yeah,
want to explore therapy but don't have the means to be able to do
The
so.
funds.
And
Hmm.
so I will make sure that those options are linked in this podcast episode.
Yes.
But I think that's really important. And I think like through those things, you, like you said, like you realize that like, you know what, this ain't it.
This isn't for me anymore.
This is
This
not for
isn't
right.
for me
me.
anymore. Right.
This is,
Yeah. And it made me realize that I needed to be honest with myself,
yeah,
and which allowed me to then be honest with Gio,
yeah.
where it was just like, bitch, this ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
So either we gonna try to fix it, or we just gonna have to go our separate ways. Ultimately, obviously, we decided to go our separate ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if it wasn't, I want to say therapy was a catalyst for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, it I was no longer afraid to say what I had to say. I would, I'm a Libra. I like to keep the scales balanced. I don't like to cause any friction. I like to make sure everything is smooth sailing. And that is not always a
For
good
the most
thing
part,
when you're
a
in
Libra.
a relationship. I said what I said, and I ain't taking it back.
You gonna say it?
But I like,
Say it all.
right, well, now, right. But now, I realized towards the end, I was just like, I need to say these things, because and G would always be like, say it even if it's going to hurt me. And I'm just like, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, and don't get me wrong, I could read down, and me hurting somebody's feelings is not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But my partner, that's not something I want to do.
Yeah.
But my friends, I let them have it all the time. That's just my friendships with them. But he would always tell me even if it's going to hurt. And I'm just like, I can't do that. Towards the end, sweetie, I was saying it, singing like a canary. And baby, it hurt. It hurt. And I know that it did. But it was such a relief for me.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel bad and I don't want to see him hurt, but it felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders where I was like, I don't have to hold this in no more. How do we move forward?
Yeah. I respect that.
But
I respect that. And you have to have
yeah,
those conversations. Hard conversations in relationships are inevitable, right?
yes,
You're gonna have to have them. And I think it sounds like having therapy was a tool
hmm
that helped you have those conversations more intentionally
yes,
and thoughtfully. Um,
hmm
and so I think that's extremely dope. Do you feel the same way, Gio, where like therapy pretty much provided you or is providing you with those like that toolbox of shit that you need to be able to communicate in that way?
100%.
Yeah.
Therapy, like I said, therapy is my friend. I still go to a therapist, and she definitely helps me navigate and kind of like help me express how I'm feeling, whether it's like with partnerships or like friendships, families.
your daily life.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it
Hmm.
definitely has helped me express how I'm feeling and productively,
Yeah,
tackle on like a situation or a conversation. So definitely, I would agree. Therapy has definitely helped.
That's dope. That's dope.
works wonders.
So I want to move on to my last question. Is
Yes.
well, my second to last question actually. I lied. Um,
Hmm.
it's basically like, what does dating look like for y'all now? Like, how do y'all approach it? Like, Chris, I know that you have been vocal about these men out here ain't shit, and
I mean,
and it's the truth.
it's. I mean, currently I am not dating.
Yeah.
I'm not dating. What I would say is I'm passively dating. And by that I mean if somebody comes to me and asks me out and I'm feeling it, I'll go. But I'm not actively going out looking for dates. I'm not
Yeah.
on the apps. I'm not on any of the apps. I just dating it can be very exhausting. It can be very expensive. It can be, having to repeat the same things over and over. Like I'm just gonna create a PDF file and just send it to people. Like
Yes.
this is gonna answer all the questions you have for me. My favorite color is red. I am, where I was born. So dating can be very exhausting. But I will say overall, my viewing on dating is that I enjoy it when I'm fully committed to dating. It's just the men.
The option.
Oh my God. Like what it
That's why I said when I found somebody I really wanted to date, I wasn't really trying to date nobody else because the options were low. They were huge.
right.
Okay?
It's right. It's you or nothing. And and to the point, like it's just like I said, when I'm fully invested in dating, I enjoy it. I like it. I think it's fun. I'm talkative, so I like getting to know people. Even if I go on a date and I'm just like, this isn't gonna go anywhere. At least I went out. I did what I needed to do. I enjoyed myself, whatever. And a lot of the times, honestly, I've gone out on dates and they've turned into friendships. And very close friendships to people who I'll speak to daily and things like that, so I'm not, right now I'm not currently dating, but I know when I get back out there, I know I'm going to be ready for it. And I know I'm going to have fun, but y'all got to step it up. Like, come on guys, let's step it up. I know my worth. I know what I'm bringing to the table, sweetie. So please step it up.
For real.
That's it. Cause y'all lacking. Something is loose up here.
Okay.
Something's
For me, dating has been a ride. I say, I'm a hopeless romantic. Again, like I love love. Like some people call me Delulu, but
a little bit. Some people like me, I call him Delulu because my God.
but no, dating has been definitely a ride. I'm on the apps, on every app, if you want to say it. But like I find myself like.
So basically,
scrolling
what
and
he's
I'm
saying is, if you see his photo, it's actually him.
Right.
Okay.
And you know what? Well, quick side note. Actually, I was on Tinder one time and some guy who I knew from back in the day swiped on me. I swiped on him and he was like, "Is this really you?" And I'm just like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Why?" Because he was like, "Because I know you was in a relationship, and if that was the case, you know who he is."
Why are you being so aggressive?
I'll tell you
though?
later.
Like, why
I'll
he
tell
gotta
you
be so
later.
aggressive?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yes. So I was just like, yeah, it's me. Damn. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you, but I just thought that was so funny because they were like, "Ain't you married?" I was like, oh my God. Again, mind your business.
Okay.
Like,
Shit. The fuck?
But no, like, I've dated people after my marriage. Not so great. I've been in situationships. I've been dating people. It's just like what?
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think I've ever been in a situation.
Yes.
I've had fuck buddies and friends with benefits, but I wouldn't say they're situations. Oh wait, we'll talk about it later.
Sounds like we are getting into the episode.
I was like, is that?
We gonna unbox that very soon.
I was like, is it? Okay, yes. I'll give it. Okay, yes.
I love dating. It just hasn't been experience. But I'm open to dating, so slap through the DMs, come through, everybody.
You know they're gonna be
I like
flying,
me.
too.
Okay, because please don't slide in my DMs.
Hard. Dating
I am not open to dating right now.
It is a
I'm
big
working on
red
myself.
X.
2020. It's about me right now. So that's what I'm doing.
I feel that. I appreciate both of you like sharing not only about like your dating life and like what's going on right now, but I mean, I think the whole podcast, you all have talked a lot about like your family, like getting to know you a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more, about the beginning of your relationship, about how you all have also navigated like the monogamous parts of your relationship, the sex, the
Mm-hmm.
intimacy, navigating life post divorce. And I appreciate like all the conversations that we've had. I'm going to make sure that we get those names of those episodes for your reality shows like up on there too.
Let's get them
Let's
greenlit.
get them green lit, okay? And
Right.
so like I just appreciate both of you all being here. My final question is, what does Love Unboxed mean to you?
Oh, brother.
Mm.
Gio, you could take it.
Yeah. So for me, Love Unboxed is loving yourself and others authentically and unapologetically.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's what I would say. Like Love Unboxed is just being free with your love,
Yeah.
being kind, just like embracing who you are, embracing others.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, I would say obviously being authentic, showing up as your true self in any and every given situation, loving on yourself. I'm very big on self care. So, and whatever that looks like to whoever it is, whether it's you want to go get a facial or whatever the case may be. But I feel like I'm very big, especially right now, since I'm not dating, I'm very big on being, giving myself all the love that I need to be able to give it out into the world as well. So definitely showing up as your true authentic self and bringing that to the table in any relationship, family, friends, partner, whatever the case may be.
Oh, I got goosebumps. Y'all be getting goosebumps when people be talking. I got little goosebumps there. But
I
I
can't.
appreciate and I relate to both of everything that both of you said, and that's everything that Love Unboxed is, right? And it's the reason why we're having these conversations. So I
Mm.
want to just thank you, Chris and Gio, for joining Love Unboxed. I want to thank those who are
Yeah.
listening to Love Unboxed for just being a part of this conversation. Gio, Chris, anything you want to add before we, you know, move out in the
You, Gio?
episode? Plug your
Um,
social medias again.
Right. That's what I
so
was going to do.
follow me on Instagram, TikTok at Giordani, GIORDANNY 17. Again, that's on Instagram and TikTok. And then also, the last thing I want to share is just be kind to others. Like, you never know what others are going through in life. I kind of go through that. Like, I live by that through my daily life. Be kind. And also, create the life you want
Mm-hmm.
because
Hmm.
nobody's going to create it for you.
Yeah. I just, again, my TikTok is BS with Chris. My Instagram is chris.brgs1. And, what I want to say to everybody is be as delusional as you want to be. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. That kind of goes along with creating the life that you want to live. You know what I'm saying? Manifest the life that you want to live. And don't be afraid to show up as your true, authentic self, like I said, in every situation. You owe it to yourself, and once that happens, and your light is going to shine through, and everybody else is going to see it too.
Yes, I love that. Oh snap! It's giving. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
Okay.
Um,
Amen.
Amen.
so I appreciate again Chris and Gio for joining. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed that podcast, please make sure that you share it on social media. You leave a rating and a review. If you want to continue keeping up with me and the podcast, you can follow me on all social media platforms at As Told by Manny or and the podcast at Love Unboxed on all social media platforms. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next time.